Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday. Hey there, it's Brian Davis, and for this week's episode, we're going to take a suggestion from one of our fans, and our fan is Mark Brown, and I believe he's from Australia, so we are officially international, but he had a great idea, and it is our top 5 favorite or greatest performances by either an actor or an actress. So we decided to split it up. We're going to actually make it 2 episodes because we had so much material. I didn't want this to be a one long 3-hour episode, not interview, but we had plenty of good interviews. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with actresses, and then next week we will have our actor episode. So this is very difficult. We do have honorable mentions, which probably put this a little bit over the top, but it was really difficult to narrow it down to just 5, but that's good. We like a challenge, and this is great. And thank you, Mark, for suggesting this. If you have any other suggestions, anyone that likes to listen to this podcast, let me know, and we'll put it on the list. All right, let's get with my top 5 for favorite actress performances right now. All right, number 5 for me is Barbara Stanwyck in the movie Double Indemnity from 1944. Now, she was nominated for Best Actress for the 1945 Oscars for the same movie, but Ingrid Bergman won for Gaslight, and Gaslight's a terrific movie, and her performance was terrific, so I can't fault that choice. However, Barbara Stanwyck kind of made the femme fatale role, and we went over film noir movies in the past episodes, so definitely check that out, but she was kind of the gold standard for film noir femme fatales. She is the epitome of what a femme fatale is best known for, for her, walking up the stairs very seductively, just her mannerisms and her actions. Her role was used pretty much for every other film noir movie that came out afterwards. She was the gold standard. So my pick of Barbara Stanwyck is just because that was the first film noir movie I remember watching and loving, and so her performance really stuck out with me. It became my love of film noir and my love of her films in general. So definitely Barbara Stanwyck in Double Indemnity. All right, number 4 is Judy Holliday for her role as Billy in Born Yesterday from 1950. She did win Best Actress in 1951 for this movie. So if you didn't know about this film, she plays a happy-go-lucky but uneducated young woman who is in a relationship with a powerful mobster named Harry Brock. That was played by Broderick Crawford. So Brock travels to Washington, D.C. in order to use his power to bribe a few congressmen, kind of like today. While in Washington, D.C., Brock hires a journalist, who is William Holden, to essentially be a tutor for Billy in order to give her an education about politics and other worldly matters. This tactic actually backfires on Brock because Billy ends up learning way more than he originally intended. So, yes, she initially goes in there with kind of the dumb blonde attitude, but then she ends up becoming way more educated than he is. And so it's just a terrific role. She deserved to win Best Actress for it. This movie, I believe, was remade at some point, but Judy Holliday was very underrated as an actress, and she died way too young, and this is kind of her go-to role, but she was in plenty of other great movies like Adam's Rib and Solid Gold Cadillac and other movies like that. Just really, really well done. And so if you haven't seen Born Yesterday, it's a terrific movie, but her role is you can't get enough of her on screen, and I think that's where most of our picks in this episode come. If you can't imagine anyone else playing this role, or you just can't get enough of them when they're on screen, I think that was my criteria in coming up with my favorite performances and the greatest performances, in my opinion. All right, number 3 is Mary Stuart Masterson in her role, Some Kind of Wonderful from 1987. There was no way she was going to get nominated for an Oscar for her role because this is a romantic comedy. It's almost like a teen movie. It's a John Hughes movie, so there's no way the Oscar's going to nominate her. Just for shits and giggles, who won that year? It was Cher for Moonstruck. So there you go. Anyway, I love her in this role. She is great as the tomboy friend of Eric Stoltz. As much as I like, Lea Thompson in most movies, I don't think her character offered much in that role. She's attractive, but I had more of a thing for Masterson. It was just her personality, and she just kind of had that that's the kind of friend you want, an eventual girlfriend. But she also played drums in the movie, and she had this cute little pixie cut, and she just seemed like a really cool person to be around. And of course, Eric Stoltz doesn't even notice her because he's just buddies with her, and he can't get his eyes off Leah Thompson. So Mary Stuart Masterson is just this kind of lost in the shuffle. But she does such a good job in that role that I think a lot of teen movies didn't have the depth that her character had in those kind of cliche-ridden romantic comedies or teen comedies. And so that's why I picked Mary Stuart Masterson as my number 3 pick. All right, for number 2, I had to go with an actress that I knew I was going to pick. It was just what role was I going to go with? And the actress is Jodie Foster, but I went with Silence of the Lambs from 1991. She, of course, won Best Actress in 1992 for the same role as Clarice. Ironically, she wasn't even the first choice to play Clarice. The movie studios wanted Michelle Pfeiffer, and as good as Michelle Pfeiffer is, this was the role that was meant for Jodie Foster, and she didn't reprise her roles. And I like Julianne Moore, but Jodie Foster is Clarice. That's just how I feel, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. And, if you wanted, you could have picked Jodie Foster for The Accused. You could have picked Jodie Foster as, well, I'm not going to give it away, but somebody else picked Jodie Foster for a different role, and that's later in this episode. But, yeah, she just does so well as the FBI agent Clarice. And her chemistry with her and Anthony Hopkins, just really, really well done. She's a brilliant actress, and this was a terrific movie, super creepy movie. And I wish she had been in the future sequels that came out after, but no, you get her for this, and maybe that's why I picked her, because you didn't get any more after this. You kind of have this and nothing else, but definitely Jodie Foster in The Silence of the Lambs. All right, number 1, and I thought this was going to be hard, but it really wasn't, because when I went through all of the roles, and when I make my picks for these type of things, I go through my DVD collection, because if I buy it, it means it resonates with me. And when I saw this film, this immediately stuck out for me, and it was Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction from 1987. She was nominated, but she lost to Cher, because Cher won for Moonstruck. And yes, I like Moonstruck, but there's no way Glenn Close deserved to win this. She embodied this role. She turned into this character. However, she's never been happy with the way this ended, because she felt that the mental instability that her character, Alex Forrest, had was never really touched upon. It was too easy just to turn her into a psychopath. But according to Glenn Close, she didn't feel this character was really a psychopath. She was deeply disturbed, but they had to turn her into a supervillain, because if they didn't, audiences may have not liked it, because the original ending was supposed to be Alex kills herself and then frames Michael Douglas for the murder, which means his wife would find out about everything. But the test audiences didn't want that. They wanted to make sure that she got it in the end, and she got the killing that everyone wanted. So that's, ultimately Hollywood is about entertainment. It doesn't necessarily have to be about what would actually be the best story. It's but what will audiences actually like, and that's why most endings, and we covered this in our favorite endings, what endings work and what endings don't, are always tested before, because if the audience hates it, it'll spread around, especially with Rotten Tomatoes. This is pre-Rotten Tomatoes, but again, regardless of how she feels, Glenn Close does an amazing job in this movie, and she's been in plenty of terrific roles, but to me, her role as Alex Forrest, it terrifies everyone, men and women alike. And so this was kind of hard, but I had to go with Glenn Close in the end for her role as Alex Forrest in Fatal Attraction. All right, I do have honorable mentions, and why don't I get into those right now? Okay, my 2 honorable mentions, and it was tough to leave them off, but one of them actually gets mentioned a lot in this episode. I'll go with that first, and that's, of course, Frances McDormand in Fargo as Marge. Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to, not everyone, but a lot of people do talk about her, and so I won't go much into it, but this is Fargo's a terrific movie, and Frances McDormand is a brilliant actress, and she keeps winning awards because she deserves it. She's just that good. And her role as the pregnant police officer who is trying to solve a murder, and she kind of just becomes that character, in the Midwest, and just a terrific job by Frances McDormand in Fargo. The one that was hard, but every time she's on screen in these films, I love her, and that's Myrna Loy in The Thin Man. She plays Nora Charles, Nick and Nora. That's kind of like the go-to line for when it comes to the Thin Man movies, and of course Asta. They're just the best movie couple, and they have the best dog as well. But Myrna Loy, she's the perfect person to be married to, the kind of the bumbling, but he's also brilliant, Nick, when it comes to the Thin Man murders, and she's always involved in solving these murders, and she never gets a ton of screen time, but when she's on, you love her, and so that's why I really enjoy Myrna Loy in the Thin Man movies and many other movies as well. And then the last one is another old one, and that's Rosalind Russell in Auntie Mame. Different people have played Mame. Lucille Ball played her on stage. I think she also played her in maybe another film adaptation. But in any case, Rosalind Russell is so good as Auntie Mame, and she's great in His Girl Friday, too, with Cary Grant. But Auntie Mame, my mom loved that movie. I watched it a lot as a kid, and she just owns that role. She's this eccentric woman who is rich, then she's poor, then she's rich again, and then she's kind of nuts, but she's a lot of fun at the same time, and she kind of owns this role. And even though it's a long movie, it doesn't feel long because every time she's on screen is terrific. All right, that's my top 5. Next week we'll have our top 5 favorite actors, but let's listen to what everyone else has to say for their top 5 favorite actress performances right now. All right, we are going to do a fan-picked episode this week, and who better to start with than our movie buff, Malin. Welcome back.
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
So I know this is already going to be a very difficult one for you for actresses, so we're going to start with them, and to narrow it down to a top 5 was a bit of a chore, but you've done it, and so we're all looking forward to what it got narrowed down to.
Yeah, well, you had to listen to me like hacking down my list for the last like 5 minutes to try to get it to 5. So I'm gonna cheat at the bottom of my list because I figure if I start at 5 and work my way up, I can be a little bit more cheaty at the bottom. So because I had such a hard time narrowing it down, I just want to nominate the entire fucking cast of All About My Mother. Like, I cannot pick one female actress. It's a Spanish film by Pedro Almodovar, and I am just obsessed with almost the entire ensemble cast. It includes Penelope Cruz in a smaller role, Cecilia Roth as a mother who, after the loss of her son, goes on a journey in search of her past and her son's estranged father. Marisa Paredes, who was originally my number 5 slot, she plays Uma Rojo, an aging actress who's playing a role in Streetcar Named Desire, who becomes a friend of Cecilia Roth, and it's anyway. I'm just absolutely obsessed with Marisa Paredes. She is kind of like the Spanish contemporary equivalent of Bette Davis, even so much so that her role in All About My Mother really kind of riffs off of her resemblance, both as a woman and as an actress, to Bette Davis, and it plays out in her relationship to Cecilia Roth's character. Another one, Antonia San Juan, is an actress who I'd never seen in anything before, and honestly I haven't seen her in anything since. Plays a transgender prostitute that just steals like a third of the show. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I figured I better get my cheat out of the way, and first, because honestly, it's like Sophie's Choice trying to pick one single woman from that cast, and I'm just obsessed with that movie.
That's okay. I did a cheat for my males, and so that's okay.
Oh my God. Okay, I am wiping sweat from my brow. I'm so relieved to hear that.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go to your number 4.
Okay, number 4 is drum roll, since I've already mentioned Marisa Paredes, Bette Davis. So I'm picking Bette Davis for her role in All About Eve, yes, which is the role that's specifically kind of riffed on in All About My Mother. But she is just chewing the scenery from top to bottom in that film. She has so many good lines. She delivers them perfectly. It's like without trying. She's just delivering screen gold the entire time, even doing nothing. It's just an amazing film, and she's an amazing presence from start to end. Completely obsessed with her in that film.
Yeah, and I think that's a key to our picks. Or these are people that when they're on screen, you're captivated. You don't want to turn away. You're not gonna get bored by them. You anticipate them being on screen, and that's definitely her in that movie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime she steps off screen for a minute, like the absence is felt.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I think it really just kind of pays off as you get to know her character more, and she kind of eats her way through these different relationships. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So that's part of the reason why I'm so torn, is because I am deeply, deeply in love with Bette Davis in that film, as well as everything that's going on in All About My Mother.
Yes.
So number 3, moving up, Tilda Swinton in Orlando, where she has it's this period piece, and she gets to play both genders over a number of centuries, and I just love that movie. It's really kind of twisted and weird and funny, and it's just fantastic. It's kind of like an art house film lover's banquet, and she is just amazing, both as a male aristocrat as well as a female. Just fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Was that one of her?
She's fantastic in everything, but this is one of her earlier films.
Yeah, I wanted to say, was this one of her first roles?
I don't know. Well, it's definitely earlier in her career.
Okay.
I don't know if I would say it's one of her first roles. I think it's safe to say that it's one of her first roles that she became known for.
Okay, yeah, because this is 1992.
And now I think she's not so much known for it, because it's kind of deep into the art house cinephiles kind of black book, but not so much in kind of popular culture.
Got it. Yeah, sir. It looks like her first role was in 1986, and so this is 92. And so, yeah, she was in a handful of things, probably smaller roles until this.
Yeah, this is a big role, big, deep role, big, long, it's an epic role. What was her first role, if you're already looking at it?
So it's called Caravaggio?
Caravaggio.
Yeah.
By Derek Jarman. She did a couple of early films by Derek Jarman. One of them was Edward II. That was the first film that I saw her in, and kind of instantly became aware of her, and that was why I saw Orlando.
Okay.
Later, but yeah, if you haven't had a chance to see Orlando, I recommend it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's what this podcast is all about.
I know you don't like longer movies, but I think it's kind of a longer movie. But
no, actually, it looks like it's only an hour and a half. I could handle that.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just boring then. I think it's a long.
But her performance is definitely worth checking out, and she's great in everything.
So number 2 and number 1 are kind of toss-ups for me. It's hard for me to say that one is that I like one better than the other.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with number 2, Helen Mirren in The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover.
Oh, yeah. You love this movie.
Yeah, I do. This is a movie by a filmmaker who really wanted to be an artist. And so he takes filmmaking, he creates films as though they're moving paintings. And so it has a really two-dimensional sense. It has a lot of visual plays on art history and politics. But Helen Mirren in this role, I think this was one role that she was kind of infamous for a small period in her career. It was kind of an infamous film. Maybe infamous isn't the best word, but the film itself is very grotesque.
Mm-hmm.
It can be hard to watch. There's a lot of nudity, sex, violence, bodily excrements of all types. But at the same time, it's playing off of the ideas of bodily functions and eating and desire and love and sex. And as it plays out, she's this wife of a crime boss, and she has an affair with a bookkeeper, and it all ends horribly. But her role in it is really, really subdued. She's playing it as though she's playing to a huge camera. And these sets are threatening to swallow her up. It's on these huge, gigantic sets and these sumptuous table settings and ornate architecture. And she just plays this abused, tortured wife looking for a way to exact revenge on her husband. And as the film plays along and you get to know more about this character, it just becomes heart-wrenching. And she exacts bloody revenge, and it's just one of the best revenge films ever. But because the filmmaker is so obsessed with the artistic aesthetics of the film, I think a lot of his stuff can play off as very dead and two-dimensional. But much of this film just relies on Helen Mirren just being perfect, absolutely perfect the entire way through.
And she's and she delivers every time, so it's hard to narrow down a particular role for her.
Yeah, and I would have to say that for the most part, yeah, she's playing pitch perfect every time. But I think this is in my mind easily the best thing she has done in film. If it were TV, it would easily be Prime Suspect. This is like her cinematic Prime Suspect.
Yeah.
So number one, I went with Naomi Watts in Mulholland Drive, another film.
Yeah.
Absolutely obsessed with the film. I'm absolutely obsessed with Naomi Watts in this film. She does such a good job of drawing us into the first half of the film where we have to believe some really unbelievable things about a character in order for the movie to pay off later. And then we see a completely different side of her, and she plays both sides of the coin. And the transition between the two just miraculously. So you don't see anything that's coming in this film, but when you do, it is like having not just the rug pulled out from under you, but like the entire planet. It's just, it's one of the most revelatory female performances of the last 20 years.
All right, let's quickly go through the ones that almost made your list.
Okay, so let's go back. Actresses. Okay, actresses. Some of the ones that were the hardest to cut. Pam Grier for Jackie Brown. So I think a lot of Tarantino films ride on the success of the dialogue and our ability to believe that people actually talk that way.
Yeah.
But also a lot of his films ride on the success of one or two key performances. And in this film, it really comes down to us falling in love with Pam Grier on some level as Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
So Jackie Brown was hard to cut. Gong Li in Raise the Red Lantern. Frances McDormand in Fargo. Holly Hunter in The Piano. The entire cast of Volver, including Carmen Maura and Penelope Cruz again. That's another Spanish film by Pedro Almodovar. Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs, Glenn Close in Dangerous Liaisons, Angelica Houston in The Grifters, Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple, Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction, but not in Kill Bill because I don't like her in that much.
Interesting. Okay.
And then one that nobody's ever heard of, but if anybody had ever heard of this one, I would have put her at number one. And that's Christine Lottie in a really, really small dry comedy that honestly no one's heard of, but it's called Housekeeping.
Okay.
And that's it.
That's awesome. So I got to ask, why don't you like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill?
You know, I don't read from her performance vengeance. What I unfortunately read from her performance is flat. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I know how to describe it when I'm complaining about this to Mike, because a lot of performers do this. They play off like confidence is just, I don't read vengeance. I just read her performance as kind of flat. Like she just kind of tries to look mean, and I don't believe it.
Okay. So she's not believable. She's not believable in that role.
And I don't think so.
Okay.
She falls flat for me.
Okay.
I know she has a little bit of emotional spectrum,
but not.
But the parts of that spectrum don't fit together to me. Smugness. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay.
Too often she comes across as just smug and not vengeful. Mm-hmm. And it totally undermines her performance for me, because a lot of her performances, especially on TV though, I think play smug as confidence. Or maybe I'm just perceiving a lot of performances just kind of flat smug, just like the same smugness from like TV show to TV show to movie, and I just kind of write those performances off in my head as soon as I see it.
Okay, that's interesting. So that's good.
But in Pulp Fiction, that role, everybody wanted to be as cool as her in Pulp Fiction,
right?
And we all knew that we would never be as cool as Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction.
That's right. Exactly. Well, as always, great job. It was tough to narrow it down to a top 5, but you did it, and I'm proud of you, and it was a very, very good list.
Thanks. I'm sorry to put you all through that. like mentally editing the entire time, and it didn't work.
This is good, because there's some non-obvious films on there that I think people are going to check out, which is always good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Malin.
Okay, till next time.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're back with my other brother, Brian. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
So for this week, this is a fan-picked episode, and he wanted to know our top 5 favorite performances from actors and actresses. He said lead actress, and he said lead performer, but I didn't want to limit it to just that. But I think a lot of our picks are going to be leads.
I think I have to double check. I think most of mine are leads.
Okay, then it works perfectly.
Yeah.
So we'll just jump right into it. We'll do it 5-1, and let's start with actress first.
All right. Wow, I didn't rank them.
Okay.
So, I have a top 5 with an honorable mention.
Okay.
So let's see.
To your best.
I'll try and rank right now.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not. I can't. I have to think about it too much, and some of these movies I haven't seen in a while, and my opinion would change. But I have a top 5.
And they call you the good Brian. You know,
that's it. This was tough, actually. I like this hard because it was tough. It required a lot of thought. I mean, there's a lot just to narrow it down.
Sure.
So many great acting performances, but I thought, well, I can think about who's the best or whatever, and you see a list of those best of all time.
Sure.
I want to go with my favorite.
Absolutely.
The people I want to see over and over, I guess, in that performance.
But sometimes you need just a list to look at.
Yeah. So you start with the best, and you think about, this one. Yeah, I love this one. So anyway, I'll start off. Ingrid Bergman as Ilsa in Casablanca.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just totally alluring and kind of mysterious and emotional, and I don't know, she's super. I love Ingrid Bergman. She's one of my favorite actresses. Period. That's probably my favorite role.
Yeah,
hers that I've seen. I don't think I've seen a ton of her movies, but I think that particular role where she's in a tough position because she's having to seek help from an ex-lover, but she's just the war going on, and she's just generally concerned about her husband's safety, and he's made it out of a camp, and it's pretty.
Yeah, she really had an amazing, she could definitely kind of play tough, but then she was also very soft and
I think she did a great job of being kind of tough but vulnerable, or willing to risk a lot but still vulnerable.
Exactly. Yeah, she was also great in Notorious.
That was another favorite of mine at Bergman.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to see Gaslight, but I haven't.
Gaslight, it's very similar. It's almost like a Hitchcock type movie.
Yeah.
So definitely check out Gaslight.
Yeah.
So Bergman, we'll call her 5.
Okay. Sure. This might work as a top 5. All right. Okay. Well, I'll just go with the next person I listed. It was Uma Thurman as the bride in the Kill Bill movies.
Okay. Yep.
Those are. Kill Bill is probably not my favorite Tarantino, but it's certainly up there, and I just love the way Uma Thurman plays that character. It's just basically that would be a male role on any other martial arts movie, and she's the badass.
Exactly.
Looking for revenge for being nearly killed, and having her daughter she thinks is murdered, and so it's pretty awesome. She's great as an action star.
Yeah.
Super intense. I don't know. I think Tarantino gets the best out of her probably, from what I've seen of her work. So I think. I mean, I know she's had issues with.
As it's all coming out now.
Yeah. he made her do a lot, so maybe that's part of the reason he maybe pushed her too far. But
it worked for the.
But well, yeah, at least for that movie, I mean, I think she was just amazing, and it's kind of unfortunate she didn't. I don't know, maybe she got nominated, but
that's a good question.
She definitely did not get any Oscar for that.
But another thing is to take into account like if you couldn't imagine anyone else playing this role.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. Maybe someone from like Daryl Hannah was kind of cast as her opposite in some ways in the first part, and you could see maybe if she were a little younger, maybe playing that. But I don't know. It's hard to. I just
don't see her as a badass.
Yeah, not the way. I mean, she was good as a villain, but not as kind of like the badass hero or anti-hero as Uma Thurman was.
Right.
So it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to imagine. Maybe Gina Davis. I don't know.
I could see that because she's very tall.
Yeah.
She's kind
of, or just someone you could imagine kicking ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Cutthroat Island.
Yeah, unless you modern day Gal Gadot type of thing, That's
Gal Gadot maybe actually.
Yeah,
might have been good.
That's a good pick.
Uma Thurman.
Okay.
Next, I have Elizabeth Taylor as Maggie in Cat on the Hot Tin Roof.
Yes.
That's a Tennessee Williams play. They turned into a movie. The movie cuts out some stuff from the play. I think they really downplayed the like the homophobia angle. Because I actually saw the play on Broadway, and it was starring Scarlett Johansson. It was pretty
interesting.
Pretty interesting comparing because I mean I had a clear idea of like how Elizabeth Taylor played that role, and Scarlett Johansson was much. I mean I don't think she's a good actress, but she's not nearly as good an actor as Elizabeth Taylor, and like. Elizabeth Taylor was like one of those like force of nature kind of actors, I think, and especially in that movie. I think it's one of her. I don't think she won an Oscar for it, but she was nominated, and she was definitely one of her better roles. Period, I think
people forget how good of an actress Elizabeth Taylor was. They just kind of look at her beauty and forget.
Yeah, I mean, but she acted across Paul Newman.
Yeah,
and like she was probably still the standout of that ahead of Newman. Although Newman was really great in that.
Yeah,
he was one of my favorite actors, but. I think she was probably the star of that.
Oh, absolutely. It's also interesting that both her and Scarlett Johansson kind of started as child actors a little bit.
Oh, that's right. So I forgot about Liz Taylor being a child actor.
Yeah. That'd actually be a good episode. We could think of who's your favorite child actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some that never really, most of them don't make it. I mean, you have your handfuls that, keep going. But,
yeah.
Okay, what's it? Number 2.
So, all right, number 2, we'll call it. We'll call it, Julie Andrews as Mary Poppins.
Of course,
I think it's one of her iconic roles, probably, if not the, I don't know, that or Sound of Music. But
yeah, that's...
I think Mary Poppins is a little bit more interesting character. Similar kind of role where she's, taking care of children, but this Mary Poppins, like, she's kind of... She's whimsical and magical, except she's very she plays the straight man, especially compared to Dick Van Dyke, who's the clown.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really, I think that her performance is very she's very serious and pragmatic, but at the same time it's kind of ironic because she's magical too.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
And who else would have been perfect? Because not only that, she's an amazing singer, and that's also
right. Yeah, that played into it for sure. And it's hard. I mean, she was so iconic in that role. It's hard to imagine. I think they're doing a sequel or a prequel with Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins, and I like Emily Blunt, but it's hard to imagine just anyone taking on that role. And
true.
So, you got to give one. I guess you have to give Emily Blunt credit for having the guts to go out and try
or the paycheck,
maybe she got paid well enough.
Yeah,
all right, I can do it. But
the only other person that I get, maybe Doris Day back in the day, because she was a great singer as well.
Doris Day, but I can't imagine her having quite the seriousness that Julie Andrews had as when Mary Poppins was being her more straight-laced pragmatist.
Did you ever see Bedknobs and Broomsticks?
I did. Okay. So Angela
similar,
Lansbury, similar kind of movie. I like that movie a lot. Actually.
Yeah, me too.
And then I guess my top pick is Frances McDormand as Marge Gunderson in Fargo.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's probably, I don't know. She was just amazing in that movie, like top to bottom. Like you just totally believe that character being a real person, and she's unusual because usually have a male cast in that kind of role, the detective, but then she's obviously like a mom to be because she's pregnant all the time. So it's, I don't know, it was a great character and she was very believable as, someone from Minnesota and had the lingo down and everything. So yeah, I think it's probably my favorite performance by any actress,
and
one of my favorite movies. Period.
Absolutely, and every time she's on screen, you look forward to her being on screen.
Yeah. She's one of the all-time greats.
And I even though it's a really dark movie, it's probably a one and done for me. But 3 Billboards from Ebbing, Missouri.
I still want to see that, but yeah, that's.
Just for her, it's worth it.
She won the Oscar, right?
She did, and she definitely deserved it. And Sam Rockwell won as a supporting, and he's a complicated character. I'll leave it at that.
I remember what I read. Yeah, I understand. And then now going to my honorable mentions for both. For the actress Shirley MacLaine as Fran Kubelik in The Apartment.
Oh yeah.
Billy Wilder movie. Mm-hmm. Jack Lemmon was great in that movie.
Fred McMurray.
Fred McMurray as the boss. Mm-hmm. Just a really good movie. I don't know that it's probably not my favorite Billy Wilder movie.
That's tough.
Yeah.
You have Some Like It Hot.
Some Like It Hot's probably better. Mm-hmm. But Shirley MacLaine, I mean, she won for Terms of Endearment. It's not a movie I've ever seen or ever would want to see probably. And I didn't know, I just, she was famous and well-regarded actress. And then, she's also Warren Beatty's sister. So,
exactly.
So very, very, I mean, her maiden name's Beatty.
Yeah.
But, or she dropped the Beatty, I guess, when she started acting.
Mm-hmm.
But she's I didn't really know what the deal was with her, and then I watched this movie wow, she is
very troubled, very
troubled, but also just a great actress.
Yeah, and actually that type of movie really holds up well today too. I think.
Yeah, it's and I think it was kind of controversial at the time because of the theme, where basically. Jack Lemmon is letting his bosses use his apartment for affairs that they carry on in order to get promoted at his otherwise horrible dead-end job. Yep. It's he has no other way up other than to let his bosses take advantage of his generosity. And then it ends up involving Fran Kubelik or Shirley MacLaine's character in that she ends up being one of the affair, the mistresses of the big boss.
Right, who he likes.
He likes her. Yeah. So it's this whole complicated thing. And it's kind of... It's more modern than I think. I mean, it was a 1960 movie, so I think it was ahead of its time,
totally.
or is more realistic about what was going on, and at least in city life at the time than audiences might have expected.
Absolutely, may have inspired part of Mad Men because
I mean, definitely, if you like Mad Men, then definitely, I would recommend that movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually of that era. So.
It is absolutely. Okay, we're back with super producer Lindley. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
That's what you came up with. I'm perfect. It all worked out well. So for this week, this is always fun. I always like doing top lists, but it's hard to narrow it down.
Very popular in search as well.
Exactly, and that's our business. If people don't know us, we're in the search business. Anyway, so we are going to do our favorite or best performances for actors and actresses, top 5. So this is a fan-picked episode, so we're going to try to be as true as possible. Though, I think originally he asked for lead actors and actresses, like leads, but I made it everything. So
I don't always do leads,
Yeah, which is fine, because I think there's some very notable performances that...
it's all about character
totally
actors.
Steal the show.
But mine are not necessarily character actors, but okay. Yeah.
We'll see what happens. So we're going to start with actresses. We're going to go from 5 to 1, and then we'll have your honorable mentions later. So what is your 5th top actress?
Should I say the movie, then actress, or actress, and you want to guess the movie?
Actually, that'd be fun. How about either way? Yeah.
Jodie Foster.
Okay.
That's my number 5. Jodie Foster.
Okay, so it's either going to be Taxi Driver or Silence of the Lambs.
I've never seen Silence of the Lambs.
Then it's not that. I don't know.
It is Taxi Driver.
Okay.
Yes, Taxi Driver, which I thought was a weird choice because she's so young, but I thought that is an amazing performance, especially for, I don't know how old she was then, 12, 13?
Was that her first movie?
Well, it's funny. It was the same year as Freaky Friday, but she did Freaky Friday after. Like Taxi Driver was first, and then she did Freaky Friday.
Could you imagine?
I think she has lots of other listings before that, but that could have been TV. I don't know.
I wonder if that could even be done now. She basically went from a child prostitute to Disney. I don't even think they could do it.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I don't know. Like, do you know movies currently that feature child prostitutes as it did at that time? I mean, I'm thinking of Brooke Shields in Pretty Baby. Is it called Pretty Baby?
I think so, yeah.
Pretty Dolly, Pretty something?
Oh, yeah. Or, no, is it something Darlings? Little Darlings?
No, Little Darlings is another crazy movie where the whole movie is about two 14-year-olds trying to lose their virginity, having a contest to lose their virginity.
Was that Tatum O'Neal?
Christy McNichol and Tatum O'Neal?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I loved that
movie. That was, another inappropriate.
Totally inappropriate. I think that's like Matt Damon's first movie.
Yes, yeah.
But they're all like 14, 15-year-olds.
And they really were.
Happen? I know, and they really were.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that happening today.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thankfully, there is some protection for children. Although it's also things are much worse. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's true. But going back to she does a tremendous job in a brutal film.
It's just a really raw. I don't know if I want to say raw, just like natural. Like she's very natural.
And she's one of the few child actors that really became more popular as she got older.
She made the transition. Yeah, exactly. Because
many don't.
Successfully transitioned to an adult.
Yeah.
Serious actress won for The Accused, right?
She did win
the Oscar for The Accused. She was pretty young, too.
Yeah.
I think, right? In her 20s?
It was before Silence of the Lambs. I want to say it's like 88. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was when
early 20s.
She finished college, because she took time off of acting to go to college, and then she came back, and I think that was her first movie.
Yeah, nice return to go back into acting and win an Academy Award.
And that's it. When I was a kid, everybody told me I looked like Jodie Foster.
Oh, really?
As a kid, yeah, like Jodie Foster as a kid.
Not Katherine Heigl?
Never Katherine Heigl.
I think it's Katherine Heigl.
Radio audience, I looked nothing like Katherine Heigl. As a kid, I had freckles and blonde hair, so I could see the resemblance with Jodie Foster, but Katherine Heigl, absolutely zero resemblance.
I'm talking about Katherine Heigl now, so that's like
I
didn't know you as a kid, so yeah.
No, I don't even know what Katherine. Oh, I thought you meant Katherine Heigl now.
No.
Like 5 years ago, I'm like, I don't know what she looks like now.
Okay, moving right along to number 4.
Oh, number 4, Debbie Reynolds.
Let's see, Singing in the Rain?
Nope.
Mother.
Yeah.
Okay. The only reason I know that is because I know you.
So I love that movie. Yeah. Just think that's an amazing performance. I think that was also, I don't want to say comeback, but it was the first time I think she'd appeared in anything for a while.
Yeah, and we played it before on the podcast.
Yeah.
The whole with the sherbet and her and
where
Albert
he's
Brooks.
like, there's a layer of ice on here, and she's like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it's just
don't pay. Oh, because he wants to go out to Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
She's like, oh no, I've got some sherbet in the fridge. Why would they're not getting my money? That's a ripoff.
It's like this generic sherbet. It's not even like Haagen-Dazs sherbet or something like that.
Disgusting.
Yeah, no, she is great in that.
And
it's an underrated film. Most Albert Brooks movies are underrated.
Yeah, I don't think they're big. I mean, I think you just have to like that type of humor. Very dry, self-deprecating, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, he's kind of the director's director, actor's actor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Comedians.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. That's a great pick.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is Holly Hunter.
Ooh, I think you'd be in a lot of stuff. Broadcast news?
Nope.
Okay. I don't know.
Raising Arizona.
Oh, yes. That's true.
I think a lot of maybe my male choices are more comedy. Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard for me to enjoy a dramatic performance. I feel like I like,
Well, so far, 2 out of 3 have been comedies. So.
Yeah.
But this is a dark, Raising Arizona. I didn't get into Raising Arizona. No, it is. It's a dark comedy. Well, it's the Coen brothers, so.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't get into that until I got older. Like, as a kid, I didn't really like the movie.
I don't know when it came out. But
87.
I saw it 87?
Yeah.
Oh, so I also saw it in college. I definitely didn't see it when it came out in 87. But, I loved it. I just thought it was great.
I appreciate it a lot more now because, you have John Goodman and then Tex Cobb.
I just love her as the probation officer. And kidnaps the baby. I don't know how they want to have a baby. I don't know. It's so funny.
Well, again, I have a love-hate relationship with Nicolas Cage. Like, he's kind of...
But I love him in some things, and then he's god-awful in others. But maybe, like, Al Pacino for me, and I know a lot of people still love Al Pacino. Like, I feel like Al Pacino switched
he does that.
by the 80s, and I'm like, now I hate him. I don't like him in anything.
I think
Scent of a Woman. I don't like Scent of a Woman, and I don't even know that I've seen that movie, but just watching the performance, I'm just like, shut up. You were so Al Pacino in this.
I think because, it's almost self-parody at this point. Everything is hoo-ha, and he's yelling, and
he's just like,
you want Serpico Al Pacino.
Yes. That's a good Al Pacino, though I do have Al Pacino on my, I won't say, okay,
don't go there yet. By the way, my dad thinks I look like Serpico now because of the beard and the hair now.
Oh my god, that's perfect. You do look like
I walked in the house and he's like, "You look like Serpico." I'm like, "Well, that could be worse."
The exact style. Yeah, that's awesome.
So there you go, folks. That's what I look like. Okay, number 2.
Frances McDormand.
It's got to be Fargo.
Yeah, of course. That's one of my favorite performances. I just think she's just perfect. She's so quiet and subtle and just figures everything out. And yeah, I just love it.
Was she really pregnant at the time when she was?
I wonder. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I loved also her husband was just so mellow. Like, Marge, you gotta eat. You gotta eat. He would like get up and cook her eggs while she was putting on all the police costumes and like his underwear. He's really like chunky.
Yeah.
And again, matching actresses with actors.
I know.
I mean, they made her so frumpy looking in that movie, right? But just very funny.
Did you ever see Blood Simple?
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's her first movie.
Her first
she met him, right?
in the Coen Brothers' first movie. So.
Well, that's where she met. Which one is she married to? Ethan.
Joel.
Oh, she's married to Joel?
Yeah. And the only reason I know this is I just did a neo-noir episode, which will be published before this. And that was how they met. That was their first. Yeah. That's a good kind of
really good movie.
Suspense type movie. Yeah.
I need to watch that again. That's good.
Yeah, so definitely Frances McDormand. I think so far everyone's had her on the list.
They have. I wonder which movies though. You can't tell me. No.
I won't tell you. Yeah. Have you seen 3 Billboards in Ebbing, Missouri?
No. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
If you like her, it's worth seeing.
It's also about a child murder.
Yes.
Her daughter's kidnapped or murdered or something. I have a hard time watching those movies. Yeah, I can't watch those. It's a distraught.
You don't. I'm not giving anything away. You don't see it, but
I get it,
yeah, you're dealing with her. But the performances are amazing. Like, she's terrific. Sam Rockwell is a very complicated character. So.
Yeah, he's like the racist cop that solves the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But definitely worth seeing once. It's not an over and over one. Yeah.
I watch mostly comedies.
Well, that's good. Yeah. And number 1.
Shelley Winters.
Oh, jeez. Only because I know you, I'm going to go with Lolita.
It is! Yeah. Why? Because it's not Poseidon?
Yes.
Oh,
man. All those disaster movies.
Things, but I love her in Lolita. I love that movie. But also, I just think she is perfect as this horrible woman, right?
Yes.
Who's jealous of her daughter. And she's just so repulsive. Even though I don't know. It's just a complicated,
it is.
Horrible person to play. And I don't know. I just think she does an amazing job.
The other one is A Place in the Sun with Montgomery Clift.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, and Elizabeth Taylor.
She's also the dejected woman in that, right? Like
she's the one that gets killed.
Yeah, she does get killed in this too.
It's so funny because back in the early days, she was actually very pretty, and then she kind of transformed.
Is. I mean, I guess I think she's kind of heavy. Is she heavier set in Lolita? I think so.
Yeah.
There's just that scene where she's trying to dance for him, and it is like, oh my god, kill me
now.
It's like so cringeworthy.
Yes.
And I just think she's so great.
She also played Ma Barker in the Batman 1966 series. So
she did.
Yeah, she had a couple.
That's funny. That's funny that they say like a lot of big stars would.
They would appear
in that show. Yeah.
That's a great top 5.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah. Okay, let's go to your honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Yeah. Okay, they're not that interesting. Well, we'll see. Actresses first?
Yeah, sure.
You can count on... Oh, sorry. I was supposed to say Laura Linney. You can count on me.
Okay. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Laura Linney?
I wouldn't have guessed what movie she was in.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So what is You Can Count on Me? I don't know if I've seen this.
Oh, yeah, you should see it. It's, God, what's the guy's name? I think he just did that Kenneth... It's Kenneth something. He just did that movie, I believe. He did that movie with Casey Affleck and Michelle Williams.
Oh, the Manchester...
Yes, he just did that movie. So You Can Count on Me is actually not a comedy. It's her and Mark Ruffalo and their brother and sister.
It came out in 2000, so
it's old. And she's the responsible sister, and he's the brother who just kind of comes and goes in and out of her life. Matthew Broderick's in it as well.
I just saw that.
Yeah, it's weird. And then one of the Macaulay Culkin, one of the Culkins, Kieran maybe, one of them plays her son. It's just a straight up, like, it's a really strong emotional story between a male and female, but they're brother and sister. There's no romance, which I really loved that about that movie, that it was like, two, a male and female, but they're not, it's not romantic.
Right.
It's no romance.
It's just a nice, normal relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fucked up relationship, but yeah.
It's like a normal, as opposed
to... It's a really sad movie, but good, yeah.
I always she's an underrated actress. People forget about her.
She's really good. Yeah,
I was trying to remember the movie I really liked her in, and it's a Clint Eastwood movie called Absolute Power.
Oh,
she plays his daughter.
Laura Linney plays his daughter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I've only even seen her as a mom. Like I seen
as a
her
mom?
as a mom. Yeah.
Well, this came out in '97.
I never saw her that young. Yeah.
Well, think about it. Clint is probably in his 70s there.
No,
so
she
yeah.
definitely is.
Yeah.
I'm sure she probably started playing a mom when she was like 25.
Yeah.
Because
actually, she
because
might have
of
been
Hollywood.
a mom. I'm not sure if she had a kid or not in that movie, but
oh yeah.
No, she's really good in that. She's a really good actress. What are your other?
Oh, my other honorable mention is Kate Blanchett
Oh, geez. I have no idea which
in
one.
Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I just thought that was a good performance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're back with Samantha. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks.
So you came up with a top 6 list for actresses
Yes.
and a top 4 list for actors.
Yes.
So we get 10 in no matter what.
We've got 10.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this for weeks because we keep rescheduling.
But this is good. So
And yeah, it's one thing to think about like favorite movies.
yeah.
And then favorite actors.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I think of favorite actors, it's usually because of their whole like work
Yeah.
and maybe like other like qualities, and it's hard to find like a person and like just that single pairing
Right.
that is like special. So
Mm-hmm. And that one performance that you
Yeah.
can't get enough of.
that you can't get out of your mind.
That's right.
So that's kind of what I went for. Things that, you know, maybe not my favorite movie ever.
Right.
But like they're movies I like and I think about, but they're things like the performance is like, wow.
And nobody else could play that
Yeah.
role.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
always going to be that person
Right.
in my mind.
Mhm.
So that's a good way to think about
Yeah. That's how I did it. It's like, could I imagine anyone else playing this
Yeah.
role and better?
it.
And
Yeah.
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 So let's start with your top 6 for your favorite actress performances.
Actresses.
Yes.
So we can go, maybe we'll go in chronological order here.
Sure.
What's my oldest? Actually, this is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think about like old Hollywood
Yeah.
actresses that I love, and I found one, but I actually picked one of her later movies.
Okay.
So I think my first movie on the list is I should have put dates on these.
That's okay.
But I think my first movie, we're going to go with a random one. This
Okay.
is a French movie, and the actress, her name is Anna Karina.
Okay.
She's
yeah.
yeah.
Her real name's
Well, it's her stage name.
Okay.
So she's, I don't remember what her original name is. She's still alive.
Mhm.
But they came up with the name Anna Karina.
Okay.
From Anna Karenina.
Right.
But she starred in a bunch of movies in the 50s and 60s in France, and she was actually married to Jean-Luc Godard
Okay.
for a few years, and
Mhm.
they made a lot of movies together.
Yeah.
And during the whole like French New Wave
Mhm.
scene, which is like one of my favorite
Yeah.
like genres and themes, and they did a few really cool movies together. But the one I'm gonna pick from hers that I think it really defines her, and it was a movie at the time that I think was probably really shocking, and it still is. Like when I watched it today, I was like, "Ooh!" Or recently.
Yeah.
It's called My Life to Live.
Okay.
And it's a drama where she plays a woman who ends up becoming a like high class prostitute,
Okay.
essentially. So I had
Was it inspired by Breakfast, or is Breakfast and Tiffany's inspired by this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That's on my list.
Okay, that's okay. I didn't have to give anything away.
I just have lists about escorts.
Yeah.
I just movies about escorts on
Okay,
my
so
list.
Julia Roberts and yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And Jodie Foster and Taxi Driver. Yes. We'll just run the gamut. We'll do best. There we go. We'll do an episode on favorite prostitute movies.
Yeah.
There we go.
But no, it's deeper than that. So she's like a young woman in Paris, and I haven't seen this movie in years, but I watched it like a bunch when I first found it, and I really want to find it again.
Yeah.
It came out in 1962,
Okay.
and she's just like a normal young woman, and I think she was in her 20s when they filmed this.
Oh, wow.
And she wants to be an actress, and all of the Godard movies, they have like kind of this like Hollywood like vibe to them. Like he was interested in like 50s like film noir, crime films in a way. So yeah, so she's a shop girl who ends up becoming a prostitute to earn extra money. And then there's a bunch of drama, and I think she's killed in the end. But it's really clever how the movie's filmed. It's in like different parts, and it's really like artsy and all of that. But
have you seen all of his films?
Most of the old ones. Not his like newer ones, because he's still making movies actually. He's just putting one out this year, I think. But yeah, I've seen all the movies that he did with her, and yeah, this one is just she just is a phenomenal job playing this role. It's very subtle, and then I'm a big sucker for like the design and fashion of movies. Like kind of my favorite roles are those that are like inspirational to me. So her kind of like look I always liked. It was very sleek and
now, was she like this in all the movies, or is it this particular movie that they did for her?
This one particularly, yeah, she has like really short hair, and she's known for kind of her like long blonde hair and bangs, and she has like this. She just has like a really cute look, and it just feels very modern, but it was made in the early '60s, and it's just a really cool but sad movie at the same time.
I'll have to check it out because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's good. She did like a couple more kind of funnier like romantic comedies and a couple like kind of comedic crime movies. This one was just very serious, and it dealt with a lot of different like serious themes, but I don't know, stood out to me. And there's like these really sad like hotel scenes. It's like kind of like dire, like My Life to Live. It's just kind of a sad title, but I love it. It's a good movie.
Okay, so that's your number 6.
That's the first one on the list. I think next one in chronological order is actually Breakfast at Tiffany's.
There you go.
I had to choose that. This one, like Audrey Hepburn's one of my favorite actresses, and I think that movie was. When I was younger, I didn't really understand what it was about. It's a great movie. It's funny. It has these interesting undertones, and like you were saying, I can only picture her playing that role. And what's interesting is like they wanted to cast Marilyn Monroe for the lead. And I think it really worked out how they picked her to play this kind of like. She was lower class, and then now she's living this like fake upper class life. And
I think it was probably more like Marilyn Monroe's real life.
Exactly.
More than anything.
They wanted someone who actually, was American and kind of lived that transformation, whereas Audrey Hepburn was like European from a wealthy background and was like a trained actress and all of that. So. But I think she pulled off the role really well.
That's right.
And she's, I think, just like a naturally funny character. And, great
so that must have been tough. So was it a toss-up between that and Roman Holiday, or?
Yeah, I think I've seen, just because I've seen, I think, Breakfast at Tiffany's more. And I think it has like a lot of different dimensions. Like Roman Holiday is like a great escapist, like cute romantic comedy. Kind of a classic romance, whereas Breakfast at Tiffany's
definitely more dark.
It's darker, and there's like it does feel like it should be updated, like the whole like Mickey Rooney stuff. I kind of feel weird saying it's one of my favorite movies because there's a lot of insensitive things in it, but I think it's great, and her it's an iconic role.
It is. So. It is.
But yeah, it was hard to choose.
You're going to have to get the little Funko Pop of her.
I should. I have a poster at home. I got like way back when I was in high school. But what else?
I'm glad you had that on the list. I'm sorry I gave it away. So that's,
I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together there. Do I have any others? No.
Okay, good. We're good. So going right into what would be number 4?
Let's see. So the next one, maybe this came out in the same year. Oh, so this one actually came out. These all came out around the same time. I think Breakfast at Tiffany's came out in like 63.
I think you're right. Yeah.
To Live Her Life came out in 62, and then my next one, I knew I had to choose a Bette Davis performance. And then for her,
That's hard.
It was really hard, but I was thinking about like what are some of my like the iconic like classic Hollywood actress performances.
Yeah.
And for her, I thought the one that kind of stood out to me most was Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
That's 64, I think, right? 64, 63? I don't know.
62.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. I think that's
Halloween.
That makes sense.
That's funny, but yeah, because when
probably her last great role too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I remember when I saw this movie, it just like shocked me.
Yeah.
And it's one of those you will never, I think, forget just because of how creepy it was
and brutal. And
it just gets worse and worse.
It does.
And to see these like two actresses who are just such iconic, like, classic actresses, kind of play this like these like campy roles,
and who definitely didn't get along.
Yeah, and then of course there was like that miniseries that came out,
which was great.
But yeah, I was like, I haven't seen it in a while, so I was rereading the plot, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I can still remember like the whole movie scene for scene, even though I haven't seen it in so long, because
it sticks with you.
It's just like so shocking.
Yeah.
And I like horror a bit. I'm not like a huge like horror movie like big fan. Like I'll watch like interesting horror movies, but I think this, because it had that like psychological side where it was scary. Like you didn't really know what she was going to do to
it wasn't your traditional horror. Yeah, it was more like suspenseful, psychological. Yeah,
it was, I think, a thriller.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, and her just whole character is just
so
creepy.
And she totally let herself go for the role. Like she owned that character. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be, I think, someone she always seemed so kind of like poised and classic, and then to play this where like kind of everything out the window, and interesting how, you know, the character is someone who's like a child actress like back in the day, and now I think when this movie came out, was she not like doing as much anymore?
She was always working, but she had kind of, it had been 12 years since All About Eve, and she was in other stuff. And her daughter's in it too, so that's also kind of beady. Yeah.
So it's just interesting, like,
so it's
life parallels in a way.
Yeah, and so two people. So you picked Bette Davis for this one, and Malin picked it for All About Eve. So two different Bette Davis.
I kind of wanted to choose All About Eve, but I think Baby Jane is more of like
sticks with you.
Kind of like my type of movie.
Yeah. That's good. No, that's what I like.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so what's number 3?
Next, that was the third one.
That was the third one. Okay,
We've
so
done
what's
3
with number
so
2?
Far. Let's see, what's the next one in chronological order here? This is how I have to keep it together.
No, so this would be number 3.
Yes,
we have 6.
I did the French one.
Yeah.
I did Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Yep. Bette Davis.
Oh, then we did Bette Davis.
Yes.
Okay. Then
I'm going up. Yeah, never mind. Don't mind me.
Okay. Because I didn't like rank these in terms of preference.
Got it.
I was just, I kind of like threw them out there.
So number 4. Okay.
So which one haven't I talked about yet? I want to talk about, so this one I actually did pair an actress that I never really saw her other stuff, but I really like this movie. It's Love Story with Ali McGraw.
Yes. So you've seen Love Story though, right?
A million times.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other movie I saw her in. It was another Steve McQueen movie. Like They're on the Run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw it. Well, they were married for a bit.
They were.
I think.
They were.
So, but I don't know why I love this movie. It is a melodramatic,
total tearjerker.
Hot mess.
Yes, it is.
But I love it, and I think it's another iconic role.
It is.
In a way, maybe more so for like girls. I don't know, but it was. I saw it when I was younger, and I was like, oh, I think I saw it when I was in college. Actually, my mom like introduced me to it. She's like, oh my god, this movie is so sad.
So this is 1970, I think, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I actually just rewatched it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, it is Beaches and Steel Magnolias. Well, way before Steel.
Yes, it's like an old classic.
Yes.
And just the over the top soundtrack that rolls through the whole thing, and The dialogue isn't awesome.
No.
But there's something about it that I really like. I think because maybe it does feel authentic in a way, and the pacing is good.
Yeah.
But I thought her role, she just seemed like a really genuine, authentic person.
Right.
In the character, at least. And
she's not super done up and everything. She looks very natural.
It's like really like natural, like kind of. It seemed like a realistic, like classic college movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Despite the like crazy, like the social differences, and then she has cancer.
Let's get into that. Yes.
Yeah, they finally made it in the world.
Yeah.
And now she's gonna die.
Yes.
But it's another one where I think it also stuck with me because I liked her like kind of fashion and style. She has this really great like tan coat that she wears, and like the whole kind of like East Coast college campus look was something that I thought was kind of inspirational.
I'm glad you put her on the list because a lot of people forget about her as an actress.
Yeah. And she's still around.
Yeah.
I think I read an interview with her recently. I think it might have been related to that movie. I don't know why there was like some sort of follow-up interview. But yeah, she's a really interesting lady. Like she kind of experienced all of that kind of like 70s like Hollywood era and knew a lot of people.
And she was married to one of the most famous actors of all time. So
But yeah, great movie.
Yep.
And
great
I watch
performance.
it every so.
Yes, we need a good cry.
Great performance. Yeah, when you want to just feel sad.
This is a good one.
It's a good one. And I have two more female performances that are much more like uplifting.
Okay, so they're not prostitutes and they're not dying.
These are all so depressing so far.
And they're not psychopaths. Okay,
they all. Let's see. 2 of them died. No, 3 of them died so far.
Oh, that's good. That's true because she did. And
Anna Karina died in her movie. Betty Davis. I think. Does she die at the end? Well,
no. Joan Crawford
they're like
dies.
on the beach.
I think Joan Crawford dies on the beach, and then she's like dancing around like a lunatic.
Yeah, they succumb to the crazy
exactly.
at the end. Okay. And then Ally McGraw dies at the end. Sorry. Spoiler alert. That's the whole point of the movie. But, okay, so the next one I went with
Audrey
French movie. Okay. And it's Amélie.
Oh, yeah. Audrey Tautou.
I want to say her name correctly. Yeah. Audrey Tautou.
Tautou. Okay. Yes.
I think. Yeah. Tautou. And I think this is another iconic role. Like she's been so like relevant in French cinema for a long time, and I've seen a bunch of other movies of hers, but I don't think any will ever live up to this role. It's kind of a very twee, quirky.
I need to see movie. It. The only one I've seen her in, it came out after Amélie. She's got psychological issues, and she I don't know if she tries to kill herself at one point, but that's the only one I've seen her in, and it came after Amélie.
Okay.
She was great in that, but the movie kind of freaked me out.
I don't know if I've seen. I thought she played Chanel in a movie a few years ago that I thought was kind of cute. Amélie, I think it's a unique movie.
Yeah.
It just feels very special to me.
And nobody else could have played that role for you.
Yeah, because she has this kind of. A lot of people compare her to Audrey Hepburn. It's kind of this innocent, cute.
Yeah.
They
kind of a similar look
shy character named Audrey. But also can play comedy.
Yeah.
And be a little a kind of an in-depth role. I don't really know what to say about this movie other than it's really cute and I liked how it was filmed and I think her role it's just cute.
Everyone, this is a go-to movie for a lot of people. So, this is. Yeah,
and I'm so curious why it kind of became a cult classic it did. It's, I think it won some awards, but it really just, maybe because the cast is well known internationally, And the director, he's done a few other like cool movies, but yeah, it's become a cult classic.
Yeah.
I should have talked about this.
In your cult classic ones,
yeah, I think it was just interesting how she's very kind of eccentric and kind of lives her own life.
Yeah.
It just has all these weird little quirky things, but it doesn't really seem strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's cute, and I'm a dork, and I went to Paris, and I found the grocery store where she went in the movie.
Aww.
So I found the sites where the movie was.
And you got tons of pictures.
Yeah, I went to this little cafe.
Oh, nice.
That they're at and stuff. I stayed in the neighborhood where she lived. Ooh.
Oh.
So, yeah. And okay, so what else could I talk about? That's just a cute movie.
Mm-hmm.
Her role is perfect.
This is one of the more uplifting ones that you picked.
Okay. Yeah, and I could probably stop there.
Okay.
With my female roles, I think those are ones that kind of define my interests and are really, really iconic.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to throw it in here.
Mm-hmm. The honorable mention.
Because it's a movie I go back to. It's the 2005 Pride and Prejudice remake starring Keira Knightley. And this story's been done a bunch of times, but for some reason I like her performance, and I thought it was a good representation of the character in my mind. So throwing that in there.
Okay.
It's a beautifully done movie, and I think there's a lot of issues between is this movie better than the Colin Firth miniseries that came out in the 90s? But I didn't like that miniseries.
Okay.
I thought it was stuffy. So I like this.
You're gonna go with this one.
And she's been in a million movies, but I always think that one's my favorite.
That's your favorite. Yeah.
So
I liked her in Domino. So
so,
even though a lot of people didn't like that one, but yeah.
Yeah, Atonement's another one.
Yeah, a lot of people like that.
There's all the Pirates and
of
Pirates
course.
Movies, but
yeah, that's it. You got to make. That's how you make your paycheck. So you can do your
money, and then you can do the lovely period piece home remakes.
If you enjoy this podcast and are an iTunes user, please do the show a favor and head on over to the official iTunes page for Damn Good Movie Memories. Be sure to leave a rating and a review. This will allow the show to appear higher in the algorithm and spread the joy of this podcast to the masses. If you are not an iTunes user, you can still listen and subscribe on Podbean at damngoodmoviememories.podbean.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook under our Damn Good Movie Memories page. You can also listen to a limited number of episodes on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and be sure to tune in next week for an all-new episode of Damn Good Movie Memories.
I am Dr. Fuck.
And I'm the Actual Alcoholic.
And we are part of the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast.
We are the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast.
That's right. And the way you can check us out is we are on iTunes and also Podbean. And we forgot a review recently. I got this review right here. It says, Rock and Metal Combat Podcast is the greatest podcast in the world, and it's my #1 podcast, signed by Science. Now, and then Science also says... Science also said... My second favorite podcast is It Doesn't Matter, the rest suck. Rock and Metal Combat Podcast on iTunes and Podbean. Check it out.
Science! Are you ready for the hottest new podcast out there? Check out the Vieira Vault, featuring none other than Dr. Fuck Ralph Vieira. You will hear personal stories and personal songs from the vault. There ain't nothing else like it. The one, the only, the original Vieira Vault. On Podbean, Stitcher.com, and iTunes.
Spreaker.
God damn it.